Fala galera, aqui é Igor Miranda e o papo hoje é com ninguém menos que Glenn Hughes, a voz do rock. É um cara que dispensa apresentações, mas ao mesmo tempo é sempre legal citar os nomes de peso com quem esse cara já tocou. Ele já fez som com Deep Purple, com Trapeze, Black Sabbath, Black Country Communion, entre vários outros, né? Fora carreira solo também, com vários discos massa aí. Enfim, é um cara que tem um currículo aí pesadíssimo. Essa é a segunda oportunidade que eu tenho de entrevistar o Glenn. E a primeira desde que ele entrou pro Dead Daisies, que é um super grupo de hard rock que está nativo já há quase uma década, mas que só recentemente, né, se não me engano, desde 2019, que passou a contar com o Glenn em sua formação. Esse papo que você vai conferir agora traz muitas curiosidades sobre o Holy Ground, que é o primeiro álbum que o Glenn gravou com os Daisies e que para mim é um dos grandes discos de rock lançados em 2021. Muito bom mesmo. Também falamos aí um pouco sobre a sua trajetória fora dos Daisies e rolou até um pequeno indicativo aí de um projeto que deve rolar com ninguém menos que Tony Iommi, guitarrista do Black Sabbath, ex-parceiro de Glenn Hughes, de Black Sabbath inclusive, né? E simplesmente o pai do heavy metal. Então, se liga só! Congratulations on your new album. Holy Ground is one of the best records of this year, in my opinion, of course. And how do you feel about this album after almost a year you guys released it?
I love the album. It's the first album I was included, and the songs are. I mean, I'm really happy with the songs. You know, of course, we recorded the album at the end of 2019 before the pandemic. And we couldn't release it because we had to wait until we could get out to the fans. So now the album's been out since January. It's the biggest Dead Daisies album they've ever made. So I'm really happy that things are going well.
Cool. And this is not the first time I interview you. We talked in 2018 when you brought the classic Deep Purple Live tour to Brazil. At that time, I couldn't imagine you join another band. So I'd like to know, how did you get involved with the Dead Daisies? Was there an invitation to join the band or anything like that?
No, I met with David Lowy in March of 2019. He asked me if I'd like to write some songs and get together with the guys in private. So we got together in private. And we got together in Hollywood in the summer of 2019, and I came in with Unspoken and Far Away, you know, and Saving Grace and My Fate. I brought these songs with me, and they worked very well. So it was a good feeling.
Yeah, and you said you guys recorded Holy Ground still in 2019, before the pandemic. Am I right?
Yeah, right before.
Yeah. And I'm curious about the process of writing songs with the Dead Daisies, because you naturally changed the sound of the band. Of course, it's still a hard rock band, but you are so unique.
Yeah, it is. You know, David Lowy asked me to write, and I write alone. So when I brought the songs in, we listened to the songs, and then we change a few things, and change a little. I don't want it to sound like Glenn Hughes. I want it to sound like Glenn Hughes in the Dead Daisies. So it's still a band, of course, as you know, but songs like No Other is different, and Far Away are different to the other Dead Daisies. So they wanted that. So I was happy to bring that with me.
Yeah, and since we're talking about writing songs, and you mentioned Like No Other, it's probably one of the best songs I heard this year, and it's so Glenn Hughes. It has your fingerprints all over it. So how did you guys create this song together? You brought an idea, and the guys came up with after. How did you write that?
No, Doug and I came up with the idea, the groove, and I had no idea there was going to be a bass solo. And we're playing live, and all of a sudden I'm playing a bass solo, and it's live. So we kept it. And by the way, also when we're playing that song live in the studio, I always have a microphone, always. So I'm singing, I'm mumbling some words. You're like no other. Can you feel my best light? And it sounded right. It sounded like it should stay in the song. So like no other. We didn't have Can You Feel My Bassline? All of a sudden it appeared. Can You Feel My Bassline appeared. So that's the story.
That's amazing. And I was very surprised about the final track of the album, Far Away, which is also the longest track of all Dead Daisies records. It's 7 minutes long, but it's so cool that you don't even notice. So what can you say about this track? How was it written?
The song was 10 minutes long. We edited 3 minutes out. The middle part, the heavy riff that I wrote, call it the solo riff, was very dark. And I thought the band, it's a slow song, a beautiful chords, but it needed a darkness in there so that it's very, very dark. But that was extended, but we had to cut it down because it's such a long song. It was very brave to record that song. They have never done a song like that before. It was late one night and I had an idea in my head and I came up with this song Far Away. I brought it to the band in France where we were making the album. The album was finished. They didn't need any more songs, but I said, what about this idea? What about this? And I played them the song and they fell in love with the song. So I was very happy.
And it was the last song you guys wrote for the album, am I right?
The last song, the very last song.
All right. And I don't know if you know this, but Unspoken is the second most listened song of the entire Dead Daisies catalog on Spotify. The most listened track is the version of Fortunate Son. And then we have Unspoken. Since we're talking about how some songs were written, can you tell us how Unspoken was created?
Yeah, that's the very first song I wrote. When I met with David Lowy in the springtime of 2019, he asked me to write some songs, and I went and I wrote 2 songs in a week: Holy Ground and Unspoken. But Unspoken was the very first song we recorded. It's the song about letting things go and moving on, you know, and walking through the fear and having no attachment. It's an important song for the band.
Yeah. And you guys got back on the road a couple of months ago. And I can imagine how cool is that, because we missed live concerts. What can you say about these first concerts with Dead Daisies?
Amazing. The fans were fantastic. It was like they were crying and we were crying too. We traveled well. We had great shows. Unfortunately, we couldn't touch anyone. You can't do that, but it was a great feeling to be in the presence of our fans. They're such great people.
Yeah, and you guys are playing many songs from the new album, mixed
of course
with some tracks from the other records. First of all, I'd like to know your opinion about the previous records, the self-titled album, Revolution, Make Some Noise, and Burn It Down.
Yeah, they were good albums. I didn't know about them too much when I joined. So when we started to figure out what songs we're going to sing from the old catalog, I had to get into the vibe, you know. And yeah, I think we sound good on the old songs. I think I'm doing a good job, you know.
Between those 4 previous albums, do you have a special favorite between them?
I think I like Revolution. Revolution, that's the one I like.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And how did you select the songs for the set list, not only from the Holy Ground, but also from the previous records?
We had a group meeting. We had a group meeting, and we decided we would do, you know, the songs in the set list, as you know, like Long Way to Go and Mexico and Lock and Load, and they work. The idea for me to sing Mexico was kind of strange. It was strange. And then I started to sing it. I'm going, well, it's just different for me. But I have to honor the song and I have to give it a Glenn Hughes feeling.
Yeah. And of course, you have a different voice compared to John Corabi. So did you have to make any adjustments to the songs to be able to sing them properly?
No, I sing them. I honor the melody that John came up with. I honor the melody, and John Stevens and John, I honor the melody. And I sound like Glenn Hughes singing. I don't sound like John and John. I sound like Glenn.
Yeah. And last year, I talked to Deen Castronovo about Holy Ground, and he was so excited, but then he left the band. You guys announced that he left because of a back surgery he had to get, but he returned to Journey recently and did concerts with the band.
Yes.
So I have to ask you, was the surgery the only reason he left?
It was. It was the only reason. When he said he needed to get surgery, we thought he was having surgery immediately. But you know, you see for yourself, we were okay. We had to move on. We can't not get a new drummer. We had to move on. So it was the only thing we could do.
Yeah. And what are the main differences between working with Deen and with Tommy Clufeiros, who's touring with the Daisies right now? They're both amazing, but I suppose there are some differences between their style.
Dean is a percussion player, very advanced percussion player, more a percussion, a jazzy rock drummer. And Tommy Clufeiros is a stone cold heavy rock drummer. Hard hitting, the hardest hitting drummer I've ever worked with. It's a different style, but both sound great.
Yeah. And do you guys have any other plans related to the Dead Daisies for next year, like an album, a live album, more touring? What are the plans so far?
We have the songs ready for the new album. We're, getting them together now, and hopefully we'll find the time at the end of the year to start making album number 2.
That's good to know. And are there any plans to come back to Brazil now with the Daisies?
We are looking at the end of next year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can come back.
Yeah. And you played here in Brazil so many times. The last time you came, you did 9 concerts here. You are the exception because most international artists don't do more than 2 or 3 concerts in Brazil when they tour here.
Yeah.
And people here in Brazil are loving Dead Daisies. São Paulo is the city that most listens to Dead Daisies according to Spotify.
That's great.
What can you say about this relationship with Brazil?
Look, Brazil, we love you. I love you. You know it. And I love singing for you and playing for you. You are my people. I love playing for you. The food, the soccer, the people. I love it all. I love Brazil and Sao Paulo. It's fantastic.
You turned 70 last August, and you have such a beautiful career, but is there anything that you still want to do? Any project that was left behind? Any musician that you'd like to play with or stuff like that?
I'm not sure. I'm doing this one day at a time. I breathe. I'm very healthy. When music comes, my whole life is centered around music, as you know. But whatever I do musically will happen if it's supposed to happen. It's called fate. We'll see what happens. I don't know, but it'll happen.
Yeah, and there were some talks about doing another record with Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. What can you say about it? Are you guys going to do this?
We are talking. We have to wait and see.